Breaking right now, Iran has lost control. Deadly missile barrage revenge on Tel Aviv, buildings burning, reports of casualties, emergency sirens screaming across the city, chaos in the streets, families running for shelter, the sky lit up with interceptors. The war has just turned deadly. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. This is a developing crisis that could change the entire trajectory of the Middle East conflict. Right now, in the streets of Tel Aviv, in the war rooms of Tehran, and in the capitals of every nation with stakes in regional stability, one question is being asked with increasing urgency. Has the conflict just crossed a point of no return? Welcome to Power Clash Report. We are interrupting our scheduled coverage because a report has just emerged that demands immediate attention. We are moving beyond the viral headlines and the emotional reactions to examine what actually happened, what the strategic stakes really are, and what Iran losing control could mean for the region, for global security, and for you. We will analyze verified reports from regional sources, official statements, expert assessments of missile capabilities, and the historical context of escalation in this conflict. We will assess the military logic behind a large-scale missile barrage, the psychological impact of urban attacks, and the potential for rapid, uncontrollable escalation. And we will answer the question that matters most. Is this a calibrated retaliation designed to restore deterrence, or a provocative act that could trigger a regional conflagration? Stay with me until the end, because understanding this story is not just about geopolitics. It is about the safety of millions of civilians, the stability of global energy markets, and the fragile mechanisms that keep conflict from consuming us all. Let us begin with the facts. On March 20th, 2026, multiple sources reported a significant missile attack targeting the Tel Aviv metropolitan area. Footage circulating on social media shows explosions in the sky, buildings with visible damage, emergency vehicles responding to multiple locations, and civilians seeking shelter. The Israel Defense Forces confirmed that multiple projectiles were launched towards central Israel and that air defense systems, including Iron Dome and David's Sling, were activated. Initial reports from Israeli emergency services indicate casualties and property damage, though exact numbers remain unconfirmed pending official verification. Iranian state media and military channels have claimed responsibility for the attack, framing it as strong revenge for previous strikes on Iranian territory and leadership. Now, let us examine the claim that this represents Iran losing control. This phrase suggests a regime acting impulsively, without strategic calculation, driven by emotion rather than doctrine. However, Iran's military and political leadership is known for deliberate, calibrated decision-making. Even in retaliation, Tehran typically weighs costs, benefits, and escalation risks. A large-scale missile barrage on a major Israeli city is not an act of loss of control. It is a significant strategic choice. The question is not whether Iran has lost control, but what objective this attack is designed to achieve. Is it meant to restore deterrence by demonstrating reach and resolve? To rally domestic support by avenging perceived wrongs? To signal to regional allies that Iran remains a potent force? Or to provoke an overreaction that could fracture international coalitions? Understanding the intent is critical to anticipating what comes next. Let us talk about the tactical dimensions. Iran possesses one of the largest and most diverse missile arsenals in the Middle East. This includes short-range ballistic missiles like the Fateh 110, medium-range systems like the Shahab 3, and precision-guided munitions developed with assistance from external partners. The reported attack on Tel Aviv, if conducted by Iran, would likely involve missiles launched from Iranian territory or from proxy positions in Syria, Iraq, or Yemen. The range, accuracy, and payload of these systems vary, but the strategic message is consistent. Iran can strike deep into Israeli territory, bypassing traditional defense perimeters. However, capability must be distinguished from effectiveness. Israel maintains one of the world's most advanced multi-layered air defense networks. Iron Dome intercepts short-range rockets and artillery. David's Sling engages medium-range threats. Aero systems target ballistic missiles outside the atmosphere. These systems are not perfect. Saturation attacks can overwhelm them, but they significantly reduce the lethality of incoming strikes. The footage of interceptors lighting up the sky over Tel Aviv is not just dramatic, it is evidence of a defense system functioning under extreme pressure. The fact that casualties and damage are reported despite these defenses underscores the inherent risk of any missile attack on a populated area. Now, let us address the claim about cluster munitions exploding. This is a serious allegation that requires careful examination. Cluster munitions are weapons that release multiple submunitions over a wide area, posing significant risks to civilians due to their wide dispersal and potential for unexploded ordnance. Their use is restricted under international conventions, though not all nations are signatories. If Iran or a proxy employed cluster munitions in an attack on Tel Aviv, it would represent a significant escalation in weapon type and a potential violation of humanitarian norms. However, as of this recording, there is no verified open-source evidence confirming the use of cluster munitions in this attack. Such claims should be treated with caution until confirmed by independent forensic analysis, official statements, or credible investigative reporting. In the fog of conflict, unverified allegations can spread rapidly and shape narratives in ways that are difficult to correct later. Let us examine the human dimension. Behind every headline about missiles and casualties are real people. The families running for shelter in Tel Aviv, the first responders rushing to the scene, the injured receiving medical care. These are not abstract statistics. They are individuals whose lives have been upended by violence. In moments like these, it is essential to remember that geopolitical analysis is not an abstract exercise. It is about understanding the forces that shape human suffering and security. At Power Clash Report, we commit to covering the strategy without losing sight of the stakes. We will verify before we amplify, and we will humanize before we politicize. There is also the information warfare dimension. In the digital age, the first narrative to spread often becomes the dominant one, regardless of accuracy. The claim that Iran has lost control may serve multiple purposes for different actors. For hardliners in Tehran, it could justify further escalation and rally domestic support. For partisan media elsewhere, it could fuel anti-Iranian sentiment or, conversely, cheerleading for maximum pressure. For malicious actors, it could be an opportunity to sow discord, manipulate markets, or test information resilience. As consumers of information, our responsibility is to seek verification, consult credible sources, and resist the urge to share unconfirmed reports. This is not about censorship, it is about clarity. We will update this coverage as verified information emerges. Let us consider the regional implications. The Middle East is a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and proxy relationships. An escalation triggered by a missile attack on Tel Aviv could activate multiple fault lines. Hezbollah in Lebanon might increase rocket fire into northern Israel. Shia militias in Iraq could target U.S. bases. Houthi forces in Yemen might intensify attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. Each of these responses could trigger counter-responses, creating a cascade of violence that draws in multiple actors and expands the conflict geographically. Moreover, Gulf Arab states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which have sought to balance relations with both Iran and the West, could find themselves forced to choose sides in a rapidly polarizing environment. What about the global response? Major powers like the United States, China, and Russia have significant stakes in Middle East stability. The U.S. has security commitments to Israel and has previously provided military support during missile attacks. China, as a major trade partner with Iran, may seek to mediate or at least avoid taking sides. Russia, which has its own energy interests and geopolitical rivalry with the West, may seek to exploit the situation to weaken Western unity. The United Nations Security Council would likely convene emergency sessions, but with permanent members holding divergent interests, meaningful collective action may be difficult. The international community would urge restraint, but without consensus on attribution or response, diplomatic efforts may struggle to gain traction. Now let us address the economic stakes. The Middle East is a linchpin of global energy security. Any escalation that threatens oil production, transportation, or trade routes can trigger immediate market reactions. Oil prices could spike, supply chains could be disrupted, and inflationary pressures could intensify worldwide. For consumers, this means higher prices at the pump, increased costs for goods and services, and broader economic uncertainty. For businesses, it means navigating volatile markets and potential disruptions to operations. For developing nations that rely on affordable energy imports, the risk is not just inflation, but social unrest. This is how a missile attack on Tel Aviv can affect your wallet, your job, and your community thousands of miles away. Let us examine the potential paths forward. There are several scenarios. In the most contained, Israel responds with limited, targeted strikes on Iranian military infrastructure. Iran accepts this as proportional retaliation, and back-channel diplomacy prevents further escalation. In a more escalatory scenario, Israel launches a broader campaign against Iranian targets. Iran responds with additional missile barrages or proxy attacks, and the conflict expands into a multi-front regional war. In a diplomatic scenario, third-party mediators, perhaps Oman, Qatar, or the UN, intervene to de-escalate, using this incident as a catalyst for renewed dialogue. The outcome depends on intelligence assessments, political calculations, and the fragile mechanisms of crisis communication. What about the military dimension? If Israel chooses to retaliate, what capabilities might it employ? Israel possesses one of the most advanced air forces in the world, with precision strike capabilities, stealth aircraft, and extensive intelligence support. A retaliatory campaign could target Iranian missile sites, command centers, nuclear-related facilities, or leadership infrastructure. The challenge for Israeli planners is to achieve strategic objectives without triggering an uncontrollable escalation or causing civilian casualties that could undermine international support. This is the delicate balance of deterrence, demonstrating resolve while preserving off-ramps for de-escalation. Now let us talk about the psychological dimension. The announcement of a missile attack on a major city, especially one with casualties, is a powerful tool for mobilization. It can galvanize public opinion, justify escalatory measures, and create a narrative of victimhood that legitimizes retaliation. For Israel, framing the attack as an unprovoked assault on civilians serves to rally domestic support and international sympathy. For Iran, framing it as justified revenge for previous strikes serves to honor martyrs and demonstrate resolve. But psychological operations are double-edged swords. They can achieve short-term objectives while planting seeds for long-term escalation. So what can you do as an informed citizen? First, stay informed through credible sources. Follow official statements from governments, international organizations, and reputable news agencies. Be skeptical of viral claims that lack verification. Second, understand the broader context. This is not an isolated event. It is part of a complex, multi-layered conflict with deep historical roots and global ramifications. Third, engage constructively. Share verified information. Support humanitarian efforts for those affected by violence. Advocate for policies that prioritize diplomacy and civilian protection. At Power Clash Report, we believe that knowledge is power. Understanding geopolitical events helps us make better decisions, protect our families, and contribute to a more stable world. Before we conclude, let us recap the key points. A missile attack targeted the Tel Aviv metropolitan area, causing damage, casualties, and disruption. Iran has claimed responsibility, framing it as revenge for previous strikes. The claim that Iran has lost control may overstate the regime's impulsivity, but reflects genuine concerns about escalation dynamics. Allegations about cluster munitions require independent verification before being accepted as fact. The human, economic, and security stakes are substantial, affecting civilians, markets, and global stability. The path forward depends on verification, restraint, and responsible communication from all parties. The choice before the world's leaders is stark. They can allow fear and speculation to drive policy, risking a spiral of escalation, or they can rely on intelligence, verification, and strategic patience to manage crises without surrendering to panic. History will judge this moment not by the weapons fired, but by the wisdom with which they are answered. As citizens of an interconnected world, we have both the right and the responsibility to demand clarity over chaos, evidence over emotion, and truth over virality. If this analysis provided value, please like this video, subscribe to Power Clash Report, and share it with someone who needs to understand these developments. Turn on notifications so you do not miss our updates as this story evolves. In the description below, you will find links to official sources, fact-checking resources, and further reading on this developing situation. We are committed to bringing you signal in a world of noise. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay safe. And remember, in a world of increasing uncertainty, clarity is the most valuable asset we have.